All right, what's up, guys? Sorry I had to move this to just straight YouTube. I wanted to try to do it via StreamYard, but for some reason that does not work properly for me. So let's cue Indigo Saint here.
Let's get it. Indigo Saint in the building. Blackrue investing. Let's go.
Who's this producer?
Best believe I was Blackrue investing. With your money, you ain't gotta be guessing. Profits is what we manifesting. So we binge on our Blackrue investing. Best believe I was Blackrue investing. Got course in this race, we ain't resting. We got stocks, we got crypto with a blessing. So thank God for that Blackrue investing. Best believe I was Blackrue investing.
What is up, guys? We're back here. So let me see here.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you.
Over my face a little bit now, but that's okay. Whatever. We'll fix that a little bit later. So let's just go into this here. I know there's a way that you can fix this on the run, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let's go into the interview here. Again, this is an interview from Tiffany Fong, and this is Sam Bankman-Fried, 11/16/22, post-collapse. So we're going to go into it and just analyze what's going on here. Tiffany does a great job of cutting it up for us, so there's no like a lot of filler. Great job for her for doing that. Let's break this down and see if we can kind of feel anything out from Sam. And like she addresses a lot of the allegations, like the Ukraine, like just a ton of stuff she addresses here. So let's get into it, y'all.
You don't get in this situation that we got in if you if you make all the right decisions. Like if if I had been more careful, there's a billion things I could have done.
There was something about a backdoor that.
So he said there's a billion. Had he been more careful, there's a billion things he could have done. So now we're going into the part. Sam Bankman-Fried on FTX alleged backdoor, allowing him to execute commands and alter the company's financial records without alerting others.
Allowed you to execute commands that could alter the company's financial records without alerting others. That this was put in place. I think that was a Reuters article, which made it seem like you secretly were moving money in the background.
Wait, and this is something that I would be doing?
It kind of said that SBF put like a secret backdoor so that he was moving funds to Alameda and it was undetected. Like this was something that you put into place potentially. I mean, that's how it read.
Well, that's interesting. So that I can tell you is definitely not true. I don't even know how to code, is the honest, embarrassing answer. I certainly wasn't building some backdoor in the system. I could barely use this.
So again, this to me says more along the lines of everybody was saying, oh, Sam built a backdoor into it, he did this. To me, Sam Bankman-Fried is a front man. Let's come over here to my Rockfin and I can show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. Classic story of frontmen. You put this guy up in front of something and you make it look like this guy is the guy in charge. But really, behind the scenes, there are actual people who are actually doing the doing of stuff. And I'm gonna say allegedly. This is how I feel about it. Okay, so if we come over here and look at the Rockfin, shout out to everybody who's gone over to the Rockfin and signed up to the Rockfin. Doesn't cost you anything. But if we come over here and take a look here, and I couldn't, I'm gonna have to go and delete that. But here we go. I got into Sam and the Ukrainian connection. Definitely come over here and check that out because I could not put that on YouTube. Please come over here and check that out. But here's a frontman right here, Kanye West, and he admits in the Lex versus Ye interview, which is also here. I definitely suggest you guys come check that out. But he says, Kanye has a record label, Good Music, right? He says, "Oh, I was the face of a record label. Like it wasn't really his record label. Whose was it really? It was Leor Cohen's. Who was making the most money behind it? Leor Cohen." So again, Sam, in my view, Sam is just a front man. So he says here, "Look, I couldn't have done it. I don't even know how to code. Like, what are you talking about here?" Somebody did the back door, but it wasn't him. It wasn't. But let's keep listening.
That's not true. I use the system pretty well from a user interface perspective, but I literally never have opened the code for any of FTX. So I certainly didn't build a back door in there, and I don't know exactly what they're referring to. It's like, let me try and give you the nearest neighbor to that. So, like, thing that is true that, like, most resembles that statement, which is that there was a fuck up, which is a long and almost boring story, but basically, there was, I don't know what that's referring to, but like I was wrong, I was incorrect on Alameda's balances on FTX by a fairly large number, an embarrassingly large one, and it was because of a like very poorly labeled accounting thing, which was a historical artifact of a time before when, like, from before FTX had bank accounts. And the result of that was basically there was a time way back yonder when people would wire money to Alameda and then have to be credited on FTX. That just basically never got screwed up. And that was like a pretty big miss, and meant that Alameda was like substantially more levered than I thought it was. I don't know if that's what that comment's talking about, but that's the best thing I can, the sort of closest thing I can think of for it. It's possible that I went through a number of games of telephone before ending up like that. I don't know.
So basically, we're to believe this man is like doing FTX's books on like a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet or something like that. Like, basically, there's no accounting for FTX. You know what I mean? Sam's all managing it all from his like laptop. All right, and he mislabeled something in funds, and that caused everything to go haywire. This is what we're supposed to believe, right? And if you go over here and listen to Bitboy, he said the alleged backdoor hack was a planned thing, and I go into that over here with my Ukrainian connection video here on Rockfin. It was a planned thing in order to get rid of all the records. So it's kind of incorrect that most people are saying, oh, FTX didn't have an accounting. They had some type of accounting. If you believe what Bitboy is saying, they had some type of accounting, and this quote-unquote hack or backdoor went through and got rid of all the records. Why would they get rid of all the records? Go listen to that FTX Ukrainian thing on Rockfin, and you'll get a kind of clear idea about that. I'm not gonna touch that right now, but let's continue to listen on and see here what's going on. We don't want to go back that far.
I don't know if that's what that comment's talking about, but that's the best thing I can, the sort of closest thing I can think of for it. It's possible that I went through a number of games of telephone before ending up like that. I don't know.
Then I guess
He said so much there without saying anything. And basically he ends it off, crafty communication with this guy. Excuse me, not say boy. Crafty communication with this man. He ends off in like, oh, maybe it was misunderstood. There were a whole bunch of games of a telephone about what they were saying with this whole backdoor thing. The only thing I can think of is that, it's when I made an accounting error, and this is why the error was like that. And ooh, man, slippery. But let's continue to listen here. So here we go on Sam Bankman-Fried on the use of FTT token as collateral, its illiquidity, its price crash, and the run on the bank. Sam addresses Alameda's margin position. So if you guys are not familiar with this whole thing, CZ, the owner of Binance, well, even going back further, Sam Bankman-Fried, I'm putting up bunny ears here, puts on his Twitter, so who, did he write it? Did someone else write it for him? Did someone write it as him? I don't know. But Sam Bankman-Fried puts on his Twitter some proposed regulations for crypto in the U.S. And that pissed a lot of people off because it would have effectively killed DeFi in the U.S. Now, I'm not sure, but it was all on Twitter for everyone to see. People like CZ, the leader of Binance, got word of that. And he says, look, I can't be involved with someone like that's going to do stuff like this towards crypto. So, and I'm hearing different things about FTX's collateral. So there was a story also that came out that they might be insolvent, that FTX might be insolvent. So CZ says, okay, I can't be associated with someone who's like this, doing this stuff to crypto, and that they might be insolvent. I'm going to get rid of my my shares of FTT. Now, understand, he put this on Twitter. And it was important that CZ put this on Twitter because that then made everyone else say, okay, if Binance is getting out, and they had, since they were a first investor in FTX, they had like $1 billion something worth of tokens. So if everyone saw that and they were like, okay, if everyone else is if CZ is removing that much, then I'm going to remove my money too. So that proposed all of retail to just come and grab most of their money out of FTX. And what that exposed was FTX was kind of basically gambling with user funds. So that's to get you up to date, and this is what they're going to address.
Just like the whole FTT thing, just using it as collateral and it being potentially pretty illiquid.
A lot of people use FTT as collateral on FTX. I think it had real value. That being said, there are a few problems. One of which was, again, the position is bigger than I thought it was. That wasn't good. Second of all, was that, and this is fucking embarrassing that I got wrong. Like, given my background, I should not have been the one to get this wrong. I think FTT was basically more legit than most tokens in some ways. Like, I think its value is more economically underpinned than the average.
So he said these are great communication techniques that he's using here. These are like the pinnacle of misdirection. These are the pinnacle of misdirection communication techniques. Now he acknowledges, really, I made the mistake. He doesn't say what the mistake is. And then he says, you know what? FTT token was probably way more valuable than other tokens. So he doesn't acknowledges the mistake, right? And then he goes into saying, hey, FTT token was way more valuable than other people's tokens. Now, mind you, out there, CoffeeZilla has this where he's like, he basically creates he like creates a story about a Ponzi scheme. Like, okay, you just put money in a box, and people say because this box has a lot of money in it, it's worth something, and you sell a token, and you sell that token, and the token's valuable because everybody put money in a box. So really, if you go back to all of his stuff, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth, really here, based on his past comments. But let me see if we got some people in the house over here before I continue. Let's see here. What's up, Robert Hampton? What is... Damn, Rockfin's where it's at. Rockfin is where it's at for sure, Al, see? So let's continue on over here, breaking down SBF. And sorry that the subscribe button is in the way there. What's good, HBCU maker? All right, so let's get back at this here. And let me just make sure everything's good and good. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's get back to it here. All right. So, masterclass of deflection and misdirection with his speech. Masterclass of it. Like, I wish somebody can give me like a masterclass like picture with Sam Bankman-Fried on it and like just put on it like misdirection communication or something like that. But yeah, let's get back into it. He says literally like, oh, like it was my mistake. I effed up. Doesn't admit to an actual mistake, and then goes into saying FTT token was probably more valuable than most tokens out there. Listen to this.
That being said, there are a few problems. One of which was, again, the position is bigger than I thought it was. That wasn't good. Second of all, was that, and this is fucking embarrassing that I got wrong. Like, given my background, I should not have been the one to get this wrong. I think FTT was basically more legit than most tokens in some ways. Like, I think its value is more economically underpinned than the average, than the average token was. That being said,
Why do you feel that way?
Wrong. Because like the buy and burn and shit. Like, it's not just like a token that like does nothing. Like, at least it does something, And like there is some like effectively cash flow that goes to it, and like.
Now understand, this is exactly opposite to what he said. That whole interview that CoffeeZilla called out, where he was speaking to, I think, some trader. His name's Matt something, and he was just basically telling them, "Oh, you just have a black box with money in it, and everybody's going to put money in the box because everybody else put money in the box." So now he's saying, "Oh, it's good. It has cash flow and all this other stuff."
That like does nothing. Like, at least it does something, And like there is some like effectively cash flow that goes to it, and like there is a utility for it, and like I don't know, like you can use your judgment on how much you think that's worth.
Yeah.
But like you compare that to like token number 17 on CoinMarketCap. I don't know what token number 17 is, but I suspect it's just a lot less than FTT does. That being said, so I kind of feel like it did have real value. I mean, it trade hundreds of millions of dollars a day, had real market cap, and while it was like I don't know, Alameda held a lot of it. It didn't hold all of it. Like half of it was just totally free floating. And so like I don't know, like you could reasonably quibble over a factor of 2 on its like real liquidity, but not like a factor of like 30 or something. Like we're talking a matter of like I don't know, should have been X or like 1.23 times X or something. The bigger problem and the things that I like what actually happened there was not quite that FTT was illiquid. Like if you look at what happened between a month ago, FTT's market cap was $8 billion. Today, FTT's market cap is $500 million. What happened between then and now is not that a surprisingly small amount of sales of FTT totally crashed the price. Like, illiquidity wasn't what caused that crash. What caused the crash was something else, which is very embarrassing that I underestimated, which is the massive correlation of things during extreme market moves, especially when they're triggered by fear over the position itself. and the massive size that those moves can be. And we've seen that again and again and again in finance, where, long-term capital, similar thing, where you have a bunch of positions which are correlated by virtue of all being held by the same entity. And in this specific scenario, where you have a crisis of confidence in that entity combined with a run on the bank and a total lack of liquidity and credit, where the crash could be extremely correlated between all those assets, extremely large and extremely fast.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw. We saw over a 2-day period, FTT lose 90% of its market cap. We saw Solana lose half its market cap. And Solana, that was a real token. And to be clear, I don't think Alameda was selling Solana or FTT during this period. This wasn't the impact of a margin call. This was fierce. This was both the reaction to news coming out specifically surrounding SBF and Alameda and their solvency, and combined with the run on the bank on SBF, which basically meant that we saw moves that were 5 times as big as the biggest ever 2-day move for either.
So he said a lot without saying a lot. The run on the bank just exposed that they were playing the shell game. That's all it exposed. It exposed that, hey, you've been using those funds as if it was like your personal bank, pretty much. And then there's a whole question about, okay, the Ukraine, throw it in there, and I'm not even gonna, she's gonna address it, and he's gonna kind of joke it off, but definitely go on the Rockfin, because there was some juicy information about that, and I'm just gonna leave it there. But there's a whole question on whether the entire Democratic government used this as a slush fund, because how easy could it have been to allegedly, let's just put it this way, how easy could it have been to have accounts on either side? It's crypto, it settles instantly. So how easy could it have been to send funds to overseas or somewhere else? It extremely easy. And throw all into that you got customer funds, you got possible Ukrainian stuff, maybe, I don't know. It's really easy because it's crypto. It's like this huge big pot of money, right? But check out the Rockfin. But we'll keep going here.
There's assets in history, which is on the one hand, you could say, and then on literally the exact same day, that they completely collapsed in value, a total run on the bank on FTX where we saw $4 billion per day of customer withdrawals, which is 30 times what we see on a normal day. So on the one hand, you can say, well, that was a 12 sigma event. How could we have predicted it? But so that's what everyone always says. And of course, the answer is it wasn't a 12 sigma event because everything's correlated in those events. When you're, and there's tails are fatter than they appear. And when you're, the answer for how likely would that be, that's what it would take it to create this crisis. If you really wanted to bring down FTX's liquidity, you needed to take 60% out of the market cap of a variety of moderately liquid tokens within a 2-day period and have more than 50% of all assets on FTX attempt to be withdrawn.
Yeah.
That was the triggering condition. And that was so many standard deviations outside of what you would normally expect, except of course, that shit's correlated. And that, specifically when there's a crisis of confidence in the thing itself, you just see, once you've got a couple 2 sigma events, everything else follows.
Yeah.
With high probability. And so it's the stress test scenarios, so to speak, that I was thinking about were not nearly stressful enough. I was thinking about Luna.
He's throwing a lot of numbers and a lot of stuff at people, and possibly someone would say, oh, okay, yeah, the impossible happened. The impossible happened. They never should have been using people's funds like that. Just never should have happened. And this, I don't think she ever really could really sticks him to the wall on that. But you never should be having users like user funds, be gambling with user funds. But let's continue.
Crash type scenarios.
And I was thinking about a lunar type crash scenarios. And one thing to note on this too is that the Terra Luna crash possibly may have exposed this even more, because Alameda now had a hole from the Terra Luna crash, so they dipped into customer funds to make Alameda whole. So technically, this may even be part of Terra Luna's contagion. Like, they should have just let Alameda just die and have FTX be fine. But that's a whole nother can of worms. But basically, hey, they should not have been using customer funds. Whether it was to make Alameda whole from Terra Luna, or whether it was Ukraine or whatever, they should not have touched customer funds. But anyways, let's continue to go.
Which were bad, but weren't this bad, because they weren't tuned to specifically the thing that would bring down FTX.
I mean, do you feel it was problematic that it was such a large part of the balance sheet?
Yeah. Oh, so first of all, yes. Well, sorry, or let me take that back. I think it was problematic that it was such a large margin position. Like, if GK Lot took it sitting there doing nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're using them as collateral, right, then then you've got to worry about concentration risk on the asset side. And so I think that was problematic. I also think, again, I should have been way more worried about extreme downside cases than I was. But also on top of both of those, I fucked up and was incorrect about the size of the position by a shockingly large number until Sunday night when I recalculated it. Because of the historical accounting quirk, I was off by many billions of dollars on how big this position was.
Again, most companies have a freaking accounting, a whole freaking accounting department. So basically you're telling me, okay, you messed up something like you're just balancing a checkbook. This is like so many different people's funds. It's not just him on a computer working on a spreadsheet. You know what I mean? How can anyone believe that to be the truth case? How could anyone think of that? How could anyone think that? But this is what they're proposing, right? Okay, so let me see if there are any questions out there before we go on any further on this. Is dude taking a bath? I don't know, bro. I don't know. What's up, Nerd Up Inc. Marv? Will SBF get charged? I sincerely doubt that he's charged. TOBM. If you go check out some different videos, SBF's having lunch with his family, all this different stuff. Man, and what's up, Texas Mike? Man, he does not seem worried at all. If you listen to him talk in this interview, it's there's no stress there. Not even a little bit. If we think of all the players that were involved in this, all the different celebrities, possibly Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, that he's given donations to both the Democrat and Republican parties. There's so many people involved in this where it's does he really need to worry? I don't know. I doubt he goes to jail. I doubt it. And even if he does, how are we to even prove that he's in jail? You know what I mean? I sincerely doubt it. He doesn't seem fazed. He doesn't seem and he goes on even later in this interview to say it this was something that he did. He was oh man, I made a mistake. Let me tell everybody and let me put us into bankruptcy and all of this. Oh my God. But anyway, let's just continue and we'll get to it. So here we're going to FTX US's solvency. Because remember, he originally said FTX US is totally fine. It's completely solvent. Like, don't worry. FTX US, you customers, you're fine. And then had to reverse that. So they also, so he's going to address, okay, why did you tell customers that was fine and file for bankruptcy on it?
FTX International was separate from FTX US, and you had stated that FTX US was solvent. So I was wondering why FTX US had to go to Chapter 11 as well.
Oh, yeah. It's a really good question. Well, you blame the fucking idiot you're talking to for actually filing this document. I was first coerced to doing it, but I should have just said no. I had that right. I probably would have been reported to everyone you could imagine for not doing it, but it would have been worth it because it's the right thing to do to not file. And, like, I would give anything to...
So who were you coerced by? If you, quote unquote, that you were coerced. Again, my position on this is that he's not the one making the moves, just period. He's just the face. But supposedly, if you go by what he says, he was coerced into doing it, and he would want to have it back, it seems. Let's continue to listen.
Unfile that right now?
You don't feel that FTX US should have filed for bankruptcy? And well, so if they are completely separate and FTX US was solvent, then would that mean that FTX customers would expect like a decent recovery? Just because I feel like all the numbers that have been floating around. Sorry?
FTX or FTX US?
US. Just because the only numbers I've seen floating around, like the Financial Times, the recovery looks pretty slim for.
That's for international.
Yeah.
US is 100%.
So then FTX US customers could potentially expect decent recoveries then? After all this?
If the US team hadn't turned off the Amazon account, they could already be withdrawing. You know what the honest answer is? FTX US was so fucking solvent that even after losing like $250 million to a hack on the way to bankruptcy, it's still solvent. It's about $500 million over.
Withdrawals were opened first to citizens.
So he claims FTX US is still solvent. That's his claim. Now, he's gonna, and shout out to the gentleman of crypto, Love King and Zay. They were the first people to kind of be like, okay, he's gonna make sure he lets the Bahamas people withdraw first because he don't want any problems down there in the Bahamas where he's living. They will not. He won't be safe if he doesn't let them withdraw first. So of course he let them withdraw. And he basically straight out admits to that right now. He straight out admits to it.
Of Antigua or Bahamas, yes. Yes, and then the regulators or securities said that was not approved.
Yeah, I think I might have said I think the right decision.
Wait, sorry?
It was, all right, so I gave them a heads up, a one-day heads up that we were going to do it. They didn't say yes or no. They didn't respond, and then we did it. The reason I did it was it was critical to the exchange being able to have a future because that's where I am right now. And you do not want to be in the country with a lot of angry people in it. And you do not want your company to be incorporated in a country with a lot of angry people in it. And so it was, realistically speaking, it's shitty. But like, yeah, pathway forward for FTX involved Bahamians not being pissed at it.
Because I guess it could have been looked at as like insider withdrawal sort of thing.
Oh, it wasn't insider withdrawals. No, this was trying to create a regulatory pathway forward for the exchange.
Just to like kind of appease the citizens of the country that you're currently in, basically.
And that the company was about to be signed a provisional liquidator in.
So basically, he almost directly just admits to that. Like, you just don't want to be in a country where people are angry. He kind of directly admitted to that. He still kind of side spoke it, but that was the most direct out of all the things that he said. And here's about the donations to the Democratic Party. Again, remember, we said he donated to both parties. He just gave a little bit more to the Democrats.
I donated to both parties. I donated about the same amount to both parties this year. That was not generally known because despite Citizens United being literally the highest profile Supreme Court case of the decade and the thing everyone talks about when they talk about campaign finance, for some reason, in practice, no one can possibly fathom the idea that someone in practice actually gave dark. So, I don't know, all my Republican donations were dark. If you won't see them. And the reason was not for regulatory reasons. It's because reporters freak the fuck out if you donate to Republicans. They're all super liberal and didn't want to have that fight. So I just made all the Republican ones dark. Claire's, whatever, second or third biggest Republican donor this year as well. For us, it's all for the primaries. They didn't give anything to general elections. They don't give a shit about general elections. It's not what matters. Like, it's the primaries where you put candidates against bad candidates. The Ukraine one, I wish I could have pulled that off. I wish. I didn't fully understand the goal of it. I was helping Ukraine launder funds for the Democratic Party. I don't know why Ukraine's laundering funds for the Democratic Party. I don't know why they would. I don't know how they would. I don't know which funds they're laundering. I couldn't even tell what direction it was in. But I wish that was part of an international conspiracy that interesting.
So he kind of just sloughs off the whole Ukrainian funds thing. Now, definitely check out the Rockfin show because I go deep into that. And I'm just unwilling to put that on YouTube because I don't want anything to happen to my account. So, yeah, there's a deeper story than how he's just, oh, I wish I could, you know what I mean? Like how he's just kind of like laughing it off and joking it off. There's a deeper story there. There is a deeper story there.
I don't know exactly who because they shut off all access to the system, went halfway through exploring it. I've narrowed it down to like 8 people.
And for the people listening, Sam Bankman-Fried on the hack that drained over $400 million from FTX. Now understand that Bitboy says these hacks are planned hacks to get rid of data. And that makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense than Sam Bankman-Fried making an accounting error on like a spreadsheet or whatever, and the whole thing crashes because he made an accounting error. Like that makes a whole lot more sense that a hack is destroying data because there actually are accounting records, and because you kind of need to know where, even if you're quote unquote laundering funds allegedly, you will still need to know where the hell everything's going where, because you know if certain people don't get their money, they're going to be pissed off. So that makes a lot more sense that allegedly, you know, this is the hacks covered up deleted records than Sam, oh my God, I forgot to carry a one. You know what I mean? Oh man. But let's hear it.
But I wish that was part of an international conspiracy that interesting. I don't know exactly who because they shut off all access to the system, went halfway through exploring it. I've narrowed it down to like 8 people. I don't know which one it was. But I have a pretty decent sense. I think it is, again, either it was an ex-employee or someone installed malware on an ex-employee's computer. And I don't know for sure which of those it is, and I don't know for sure which one it is.
So he thinks it's a former employee or someone put malware on a computer. Now that sounds really great for someone who's like kind of really not initiated or really doesn't know much about computers or whatever. Oh, okay, that makes sense, right? But 400 million just happens to go out of an account after you declare that, oh, bankruptcy, and just sounds a little fishy, right? The timing of it, right?
Because access is totally shut down right now because it would be dangerous to allow people to query data.
So, Sam Bankman-Fried on his lawyer's response to his public apologies.
Chewed me the fuck out for that one. You know, the first thing they said after that was, Sam, we have only one thing to tell you. You have to promise that you never, ever, ever say you fucked up again. I told them to go fuck themselves. I don't think they know what they're talking about. I mean, whatever. They know what they're talking about in an extremely narrow domain of litigation. They don't understand the broader context of the world. Like, if you're a complete dick about everything, even if it narrowly...
Again, I will say, it's my proposal that the Sam that you see in here is different from the Sam that is on Twitter. Take that any way you want to take that, okay? The Sam that you hear is different from the Sam that's on Twitter. I'm just gonna say it like that.
Avoid making moderately embarrassing statements. It's not helping anything.
I don't even know why you're talking to me. It's not like I'm some big reporter or something like that.
Okay, let's get down into why that's not really important. But this is. Okay. Sam Bankman-Fried on filing Chapter 11 in a jurisdictional battle ahead. But if you want to know why he's talking to her, definitely come over here to Tiffany Fong's site and check that out.
It matters, and how everything matters, including the things that, like the obvious things matter an enormous amount, but so do the non-obvious things too. You know, there's
The obvious things matter an enormous amount, but so do the non-obvious things. This guy, I'm telling you, he could write a master class on saying nothing. He could write a master class on it. I swear to God.
like this whole long saga of it, and then there's like a dumb fucking account that we labeled confusingly 4 years ago, and that was like 2/3 of the whole saga. And my numbers, and like then the saga ends, and I honest to God believe if I had filed for bankruptcy, all users would be full and withdrawals would be on FTX right now. And not just US, international as well. And I might still get there. We'll see. I don't know. It might happen. It might not. But 8 fucking minutes after I filed for bankruptcy, $4 billion more came in of liquidity.
Are you able to add it to the estate?
I'm working on it, but the current trustees of the estate would rather burn it all to the ground out of shame and attempt to find a way to bring more value to customers. So right now I'm stuck in a jurisdictional battle between countries over the bankruptcy estate that I started.
Would you put it in FTX International or US?
Oh, yeah, US doesn't need it.
Yeah.
US is fine.
Yeah.
I just need to come out of bankruptcy and turn on. International needs like about $4 billion of net asset value, realistically speaking, and about $8 billion of liquidity. And these are the big numbers, but they're not insurmountable numbers. And if that was the only blocker, I would be there right now. And right now, the hardest piece of this is actually just like undoing other random bits of damage that have happened to be able to get us to the point where we can address the fundamental underlying problem, which at this point I've like already 2/3 solved.
So FTX or Sam Bankman-Fried on expected recovery for FTX and FTX US creditors, because remember there's FTX International and then FTX US.
Do you think the numbers that have come out are pretty accurate on what people can expect? Like the Financial Times balance sheet kind of looked like people could expect basically nothing on international. Like,
well, I mean, not nothing. Like I think, there's not counting like just liquid assets that are there. I think if nothing happens, if I can never do anything again, and they're left to their own devices, eventually US will get a penny on the penny, a dollar on the dollar once they get around to admitting that, and international will get, I don't know, 20, 25 cents on the dollar. So I don't know exactly what.
So basically, he's saying, okay, US will get 100%. They'll get a dollar on a dollar. But international will probably get 20% or a fourth of their account values.
Something like that. But I don't know. That's because they got $4 billion sitting here waiting to be injected. If anyone will let us inject it,
So, but he's saying there's $4 billion there waiting to be injected, but they can only get a fourth of their value. Like, which is it? That it doesn't, you're saying contradictory things in my mind. But he's saying, oh, they won't let us inject it, so you'll only get a fourth. I think that's what he's implying, but he's not saying, so we can only imply from what he said.
well, then, so are you kind
So the future of FTX.
of hopeful that FTX US or FTX International can just like turn back on at some point? Because obviously Chapter 11 is restructuring, so you technically could restructure and reopen in the future. Is that your goal?
They sent me the AWS key beyond tomorrow, and withdrawals would start opening up over the next month. But right now, I'm fighting over an AWS key. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. I mean, the embarrassing thing is I was the one to file. Like, it wasn't even that I'm trying to, like, usurp someone else's company. I'm trying to usurp my own company. And from the process that I myself started. So, and the people who I myself put in charge grudgingly are not happy about that prospect.
I'm just, he's making it seem like, okay, I was responsible. I started this. So, if they gave me the keys, I would restart it tomorrow. Oh man, this guy.
So I've been trying to figure out the best way.
Oh wow, and Tiffany's quite the looker, as well as giving a great interview, very impartial, cut it up for us. Great work for Tiffany Fong. Definitely come out and check her information out, check her interview out. First full interview with Sam Bankman-Fried. And let's go to you guys for questions and just, oh man, that's just crazy. So let's see here. Oh yeah, he sounds too relaxed, Texas Mike. Just way too relaxed. Al, see, I got $50 in FTX, and there's no withdrawing it. The ladies, Sam doth protest too much. Yeah, yep. G7G, what's up? I always wondered if some of the hacks were allowed or caused by exchanges. Yep, and to me, it really seems caused by the exchange. And if you listen to Bitboy, he says that the hack was on purpose. And let me see if I can actually just find that right quick for us here. Yeah, so Bitboy says hack was on purpose, just on purpose. Let's see here. Bitboy. Let's see here. It's one of these. Hold on, we'll find it. Okay, I think it's this one. If it's not, I'll be able to find it really easy if it's not this one. Okay, hold on. I'm going to find the exact point because I think it's like the most watched point of this video, so we can go just directly to it.
$10 billion worth of customer funds that have been stolen by FTX. Gary Gensler's responsible for every single dime of it. If you have lost $1 in crypto, you need to contact your company.
Okay, it wasn't this one. Let's go back. It wasn't this one. It won't take too long to find it though. Okay, I think it's this one. It's this one. So,
Gotta let something play out.
So he basically says that there's a mastermind behind this, right? And it's not Sam Bankman-Fried, because I'm telling you, Sam's not. He's just the front man, and he names this guy. I forget what his name is. It's like Brian something. But let's listen to just the part where he's talking about the hack.
I was saying it was Sam, which would have made sense, because I know Sam is a hacker and he has done a lot of hacking, and from the inside it would make sense. No. It was Sam, but it wasn't. This was a mechanism that was built into FTX as a platform. Just like I was told this over a week ago. I was told, watch what happens. There's a fail-safe within FTX that when everything hits the fans, they will self-destroy all the data. That's what this was about. This was not about the money moving, okay? It's $300 or $400 million. We're talking about possibly a $50 billion hole when you consider all of the different companies that were involved with FTX and Alameda. $50 billion hole potentially, okay? So there was a fail-safe built in to where when they moved that money, the internal data systems of FTX have been decimated and destroyed. That's what this was about. This was about an internal combustion of FTX as an exchange. Now the amount of information, and we're getting more details about this, so I really can't break down exactly the mechanism by which this data was destroyed, but I was told a week ago this was going to happen, and here it is happening. A lot of times when I've been told this stuff, and I'm telling you...
So that, to me, makes a whole lot more sense than, oh man, I just made a little accounting error. And then all of a sudden, after all this stuff hits the fan, oh, we now have these hacks. Oh, that's crazy. No, it was a hack to remove the records, because you can't have a records on all of this stuff because too many people would be exposed. It would have to be removed. So that to me makes a lot more sense. And the guy that Bitboy says is behind this. Let's see if we can hear that right quick.
It's there forever. Everything's on the internet. Well, it's not exactly true. That's the way it is for you or me. But for one Mr. Dan Freiberg, or one Mr. Greg Ellison, father of Caroline Ellison, basically, long and short of it is,
Dan Freiberg, apparently he was involved in like this Poker Stars deal from like a long time ago. Actually, this might be a really good part to just listen to right quick, and then I'll come back out for questions.
Do is just tell hackers or press a button or whatever you do. You scrub the entire internet of your existence, and that's exactly what Daniel Freeberg has managed to do. If you look up Dan Freiberg or Daniel Freeberg, you can't really find any pictures of him. Well, I really encourage everyone to go to my Twitter, Bitboy_crypto. I'm sure you're all following me, obviously. Got like 80,000 followers in the last 4 days. But I want you to go there, and I want you to check out the pinned tweet. The pinned tweet is an article. Now, I want to talk about this article. A lot of this information in this article came from me. A lot of it came from another gentleman. A lot of it came from some other sources. But it was all compiled together to tell the story of who Dan Freeberg is. Now, here's what's so crazy. The original publication of this article went out on a website that was part of a larger news network. Within 30 minutes of me posting the link, this is true. Within 30 minutes of me posting the link, the entire news network went down. Their servers were attacked. These are the best hackers in the world that work for FTX, that have worked for Daniel Freeberg. He's been actually doing things on the internet that people thought were impossible for many, many, many years, almost 20 years, actually, to be honest with you. There's also some connections, by the way, from Dan Freeberg to Mt. Gox. So if you really start digging into that, you might find he might have actually been involved in that as well. But I want you to go look at that pinned tweet. I want you to read that article. You can do that right after we get off of this video here. And then I want you to scroll down. There's actually a post where I put 3 pictures of Dan Freeberg, including his LinkedIn page. Guess what? LinkedIn page? Gone. Doesn't exist anymore. Boom, gone. He scrubbed the entire internet of his existence. There's also a video within that article. So the article was then posted to a Facebook group. So that way you could read the entire thing and not have to worry about getting taken down, because you can't get taken down off of Facebook. In this world of internet scrubbing, you have to basically learn ways to be able to post things so the hackers can't get them and they can't take them down. Because Dan, I'm sorry, you can't run from me. I don't know if this has been something that's been clearly shown over this.
Bitboy gets to peacocking a lot, but he's gonna come and say something about the Poker Stars deal. And I remember when this Poker Stars thing went down, so I want us to hear that right quick. It shouldn't take too long.
SBF debacle, but when I get you on my sites, you're done. Our army's too big. The Bit Squad is too big. And guess what? Now they're all pissed, and they're coming after you, Dan, so you better get ready. So you can go find those pictures. There's actually a video contained in that article of Dan admitting that they counterfeit coins. Now, what does this mean? Well, we're going to get into much more of this in a later video, because to me, this is the most damning accusation.
Well, that was another thing, that they counterfeited coins. And let's not even, we'll get into that a little bit afterwards, but I'm waiting for this Poker Stars thing.
Of the entirety of the FTX system. Why? Because this is counterfeiting. Once you get into counterfeiting, you now are getting into tax evasion, you're now getting into wire fraud, you're now getting into RICO laws, you're now getting into racketeering. That is the level of criminality that these people are on. So why would they counterfeit coins? To control the supply on the exchanges. That's how they were able to manipulate prices. If you want to short a coin to zero, what would you do? You counterfeit a bunch of coins, you put them on the exchange, basically paper Bitcoin or paper FTT, whatever you want to, all of FTT was paper, but basically like paper Bitcoin, kind of like derivatives. And so what you do is you flood the market And then all of a sudden, there's a gigantic supply. When you have a huge supply and the demand remains the same, the price goes down. So that's exactly what they were doing. There's a video of him talking about this, and we've got so much more evidence of this Dan Freeberg. We have audio clips, we have emails, we have text messages, we have...
So if you can manipulate price, you can manipulate price and to the downside, upside, and you can bet on whichever side that you want to manipulate the price to, basically is what he's saying. So by counterfeiting the coins, you control the supply and you can move it up or down to your leisure.
Everything. This guy's going away for sure. However, you would have thought this would have happened before. That Dan Freeberg would have gone to prison before. Why? Dan Freeberg was also the architect. We're going to show you the similarities here, which is really amazing. He was the architect of the ultimate bet, Absolute Poker ultimate bet cheating scandal in the poker world, in the online poker world in the early 2000s. This was actually the largest poker scandal of all time. See, somebody there at Ultimate Bet had managed to come up with something they called God Mode. Now, God Mode was where you could enter into a game of online poker and you could actually see the other person's cards. Now, they used a very similar model to FTX. What did they do? They managed to get some of the largest poker influencers at the time, Mike Mattisau, Phil Hellmuth. Both of these guys did promotion and sponsored content.
Which I remember that. Mike Mattisau, Phil Hellmuth, those are huge names in poker. It's the exact same thing they did here when they got Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, and I'm going to mention a couple people, and I'm not trying to say that they were meaning to scam people, but they were also involved, like Max Mayer, Meet Kevin, like people like that, and they paid them like $50,000 for the freaking sponsorship. I think they also had Graham Stephan. They may have had Jeremy, financial education guy. All those dudes, big dudes, were sponsored by FTX, just the same way they did with this ultimate bet poker thing. But let them go on about it.
Around Ultimate Bet, trying to get people to come there. But just like we see with a lot of crypto influencers, that talk about FTX or BlockFi or whatever, they ended up with a bunch of egg on their face. Not only did their credibility go down because they promoted this obvious scam, well, not obvious, what's obvious at the time, but they were also losing money. Mike Mattisau got taken for over $1 million from people from Ultimate Bet that were running God Mode on him. He said it was crazy. People would just call him and be like, "Hey, Mike, you want to jump online and play some heads up?" He'd be like, "Yeah, sure." He didn't know they could see his cards. So, once again, the faces. Look at this face. It is beautiful, I know. The faces, the ones with the voices, we're the ones that get used.
So that's what makes a lot more sense, right? What's up, Bird Dog, the Crypto Ronin? What's going on, brother? So there you go. There you go. With just breaking it down there. This Daniel Freeberg or whatever might be the actual dude behind all of this. The actual dude who's actually doing the tweets, maybe. Because we all know that Sam is different on the interviews than he is tweeting. So this kind of just breaks it all down, right? Doesn't seem like Sam's fazed, worried at all about what's going on. And when we bring in the Bitboy portion of this, right, it says in a completely entirely different story than what Sam was just like, kind of, oh no, I put this into motion, I did this, and oh, we should have made people whole, all this type of stuff, right? It paints a completely different picture. But for people who don't dig and they just hear Sam, talking his talk, they're probably going to be sympathetic with them. But I'm glad I can come on here and show you guys the other side and actually break it down because it is not as rosy as Sam Bankman-Fried tries to make it sound. It is not rosy. And clearly he's been given like communication classes and all these different, clearly he's been trained on how to speak to misdirect so most people do not see through his veneer, right? He's clearly been trained in it because he does it so well. Like he does it so well. And these are like communication techniques. These are like they're like therapeutical like techniques. It's not only the communication of it. There's like a therapy to it too, like about the human psyche. And he's so freaking good at it. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, guys, I don't see there's any more questions. I just wanted to get on here and let you guys see that. Definitely go over there and check it out from Tiffany Wong. Tiffany Fong. I keep saying the woman's name wrong. Darn it, forgive me on Tiffany. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. What do you think about Sam? Is he on the up and up? Is he the guy that he seems to be? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. And have a good one, guys. Peace.